Let's talk some Miami Heat trade targets in late August. And by the way, these are some blockbuster trade targets for the Miami Heat. Some backstory. ESPN dropped an article that featured votes on players that could request a trade, teams that could take a step up, a step down, teams that could make a big trade. And I'm looking at the 5 most likely superstars that ESPN listed that could request a trade. We'll go from who ranked the highest on ESPN's list to the lowest, but I figured these 5 players could be guys that Miami would be interested in. And the number 1 player that ultimately got the most votes on ESPN as a player that could request a trade was forward Zion Williamson with the New Orleans Pelicans. And if I looked at the voting structure, there was like a certain amount of I think 20-something points around. Zion got half of them. He got 10 points. It was the most on the list. And this is a fascinating player to discuss because when he's on the basketball court and if he's able to stay healthy, is one of the most dynamic NBA players that we have. The issue is he doesn't keep care of his body that well. He can't stay on the floor with lower body injuries, a foot injury all the time, but he is efficient. He is a dominating force. And that is why when you ask me about a potential Zion Williamson trade, I only would be in on Zion if it was cheap. I am not sinking serious draft capital in on a Zion Williamson trade. I'm not doing it. Miami doesn't have that much draft capital as we speak, so I am certainly not doing it with a guy that could be, I'm being serious, there's a possible outcome where Zion Williamson is looked at as the worst contract in the NBA in a year or two. There's also a chance it could be an absolute steal to make a trade for him right now. So it's all about risk management. Would Miami do it? I don't know. I would only take the flyer if it was really cheap. And I'll show you what my trade offer would be in here one second. But the bosses want me to get to 200 likes. The likes have been pretty low on the channel recently. And they said if we don't get 200 on this video, they might have to reconsider watch parties for the season. Help me out. Let's get to 200 likes and shut them up until the regular season gets started in a couple of months. Here is the Zion trade idea that I would propose. And I'm not doing any draft capital. So if people think this is not enough, that's fine. If the Pelicans wouldn't do it, that's fine. These are my terms on a potential Zion trade. I would give them Wiggins, I would give them Fontecchio, and Keshad Johnson. Those 3 salaries line up really close, around $1 million short, so Miami would stay underneath the luxury tax while making this trade. It would free up a couple roster spots, although Miami would then go into the tax if they ultimately did sign a couple guys to standard contracts. The point is this. I am not trading any draft capital for Zion Williamson. I would take the flyer, get rid of Wiggins, who the Heat might not see in their long-term plans anyway. They know we don't see Fontecchio in their long-term plans, and Keshad Johnson is just a player that I added to kind of help the salaries match a little bit better. Number 2 on ESPN's list was Giannis Antetokounmpo. He got 7 votes from ESPN. So Zion was number 1 at 10. Giannis was number 2 with number 7. And I'll be honest, we take it back 3-4 months ago when the offseason initially began in April and May. I said a couple times that I project Giannis to potentially request a trade this offseason. Now, as of late August, he has not done that yet. And it feels as if he probably will give it another year in Milwaukee. I am shocked by that. The team is not as good as it was last season. They are going to take a step back. They waived Damian Lillard to bring in Miles Turner. And when Miles Turner and Kyle Kuzma are Giannis's 2 best players to play with, that is an issue. They don't have any draft capital that they control in the next 6 or 7 years. So there really isn't that good of a future in Milwaukee. Now, is Giannis maybe just loyal to the Bucks organization and won't request a trade? Very possible. But I am shocked that he is still going to be there and not request a trade. But if he did, like ESPN suggests, here is my Giannis trade idea. Would I be willing to trade a Bam or Bam or a Hero, I should say, to get Giannis, I absolutely would. He's a top 3 player. Oh, wow, geez, I'm struggling today, folks. Top 3 player in the NBA, and he's still under the age of 30. But in an ideal world, you are pairing Giannis with Bam and Hero to make a very strong trio in the Eastern Conference. So this trade idea works financially, and this is what I think Miami's best offer could be if they're not trading Hero or Bam. Wiggins, Rozier for salary purposes, 2 of your better young players in Kel'el Ware and Jaime Jaquez Jr., the 2 first-round picks you can trade unprotected in 2030 and 2032, plus 3 pick swaps in 28, 29, and 31. It's as good as it gets for Giannis if you're not trading either Hero or Bam. But make the call for me. Name your top Heat trade target. Pin comment on today's show. So if you get with the YouTube ad break, scroll down, let it play, and answer today's question. Number 3 on ESPN's list was LeBron James. And I'll show you the point total here. It was 10 votes for Zion, 7 for Giannis, 6 for LeBron. So LeBron was right there in terms of Giannis Antetokounmpo potential trade request. Now, do I see a LeBron request at the deadline? That is when I would have to forecast one. I do not think LeBron would request a trade in the next 2 months before the season gets started in mid-October. But if the Lakers either struggle or LeBron is really phased out and doesn't like playing with Luka Doncic and wants to end his career not in LA, as it is kind of projected right now, this is LeBron's last year in the league, yes, I could see LeBron traded at the deadline to go on one last run if the Lakers are not cutting it. So, LeBron, still very good, folks. I mean, when you look at his numbers, he is not showing any signs of decline. It's just more or less if he wants to spend this day and age of playing in the NBA still. And, well, we've seen him take up a lot of golf this offseason. You know what that tells me? It really is the final year of his career. You don't get into golf at age 43 if you're not planning to retire and go play golf every day. Let me just tell you that from firsthand experience. I play golf too much. I should be retired at this point. But here is my trade idea for LeBron at the deadline. And because it would be a rental for the last 4 months of the year, or not even 2-3 months, and then he probably retires, I'm not sending a first-round pick. I'm not sending any young players either. So if LeBron was actually on the trade block, and I would have to imagine since it would be LeBron's last run, he would have a lot of say on to where he gets traded. Miami would have to be good number 1 in the first half of the year, and then feel as if improving from Wiggins to LeBron would take them from a good, solid playoff team in the East to maybe the best team in the Eastern Conference. So upgrading from Wiggins to LeBron, which is why he's in the trade, plus the Lakers don't get that much of a downgrade in terms of their starting lineup. Rozier for salary purposes, expiring contract, which could be beneficial for LA, and then a second-round pick to sweeten the deal for the Lakers. I feel like that would have to be what the trade looks like. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel for daily Heat content in the number 1 community/family of Heat fans there is. So hit that sub button. Join us here. It's going to be a lot of fun when the season starts in 2 months. All right, 4th on the list was Ja Morant, and I'll say it now, both Ja and the final player on our list got 1 vote. So it was 10, 7, 6, and then 2 guys with 1 vote. And if we're talking about likelihood / who I'd want to go trade for, I think Ja Morant is number 1 on my list in terms of fit and realistically. Because I don't see Giannis as that realistic. I don't see LeBron as that realistic. And I do not really want to trade for Zion if we're going to be honest. Ja Morant, a point guard still in his mid-20s that is consistently averaging 20 a game, giving you 8 assists a game, and shoots relatively efficient from the field, just not as good from beyond the arc. And when you talk about Ja Morant, the issues stem from off the court. Do you trust Ja to stay in the right headspace and on the straight and narrow in Miami? That's a major question, and it's something the Heat would have to figure out. But I don't think it would cost you that much to get. And if he did request a trade, I think a swap of Tyler Hero and Simone Fontecchio, more or less for salary purposes, to get Ja Morant could make a lot of sense for the Miami Heat. And you might ask, well, why would they trade their best guard to get Ja? Wouldn't it want to be Ja and Hero together with Bam in the front court? Here is why I think it would be worth it to trade Hero for Ja. To me, I think both are in the same tier. I think, honestly, you're splitting hairs at this point if you believe Ja Morant or Hero are the better player. I think both are very similar, and obviously Hero is less of a headache off of the court, but Ja Morant raises the ceiling of the Heat. I think both are in the same tier, but there is no question that it's more likely Ja can lead a team to playoff wins and success than Tyler Hero. Plus, Hero, you have to make that decision with his extension and paying him over the next year and a half. So you do not have to make that decision with Ja. He's got 3 years left on his contract at low 40 mil. That is where I'd pay Hero. So to me, you don't have to negotiate with Hero. You have Ja on a similar contract and more of a proven success. Plus, his fit would be better with a Norman Powell at the 2, with Bam and Ware in the front court, and Wiggins at the 3. I think it's just a better fit for Miami. And with the decision not having to loom over our heads of paying Hero, it makes a lot of sense for me. Grab this Heat hoodie while it's still on sale. 56% off, usually $120, now available for $53. Chatsports.com/Heat sale. If you order it now, it'll be here before the season begins and preseason begins in a month and a half. We're actually basically a month away from training camp getting started. How crazy is that? Grab it today while it's still going on before the season is here. The final player on this blockbuster trade target list is the guard from Atlanta, Trae Young, a player we have talked about a lot here throughout the last couple of years as a trade target. But I have come to the realization that it is incredibly unlikely that Miami trades for Trae Young. Why? They are not high on him whatsoever. And even though he is an offensive engine that generates close to 45, 50 points a night, there is no world where I see Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra taking the swing on Young due to his inability to defend and his lack of effort at times. And I am pretty sure that our head coach, Eric Spoelstra, hates Trae Young. Not as a person, but as a player on the basketball court. Eric Spoelstra demands you to play defense and give effort 100%. Trae Young does not do that. I do not imagine Spo wanting to coach a player like Trae Young. But if any trade does go down for the Miami Heat, or any rumors pop up, we will have you covered. So subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow in another video. Go Heat.